Are you looking for an athletic scholarship? You're in the right place. This is the Recruit Me Athletic Scholarship Podcast, the longest running podcast on recruiting and athletic scholarships. We're here to help your family navigate the recruiting road all the way to an athletic scholarship. He's a recruiting expert and a dad of 2 college athletes. He has a wealth of experience to share. Here's Recruit Me CEO, Brent Hanks.
Welcome to the Athletic Scholarship Podcast, episode 305. This episode is part 1 of a 2-part interview with a parent of 3 recruited student athletes. Chris Ford and his family are educators and a family of baseball and softball players. We get to hear about Zach, who just graduated and finished his college baseball career at College of the Ozarks. We also hear from Chris about his daughter, Cara, who is a student at College of the Ozarks and decided to be a student only instead of taking on college debt to play softball at an NCAA Division II school. There is some great information for both the high school student athlete and for parents as you go through your recruiting journey. Enjoy this week's episode, and also join me next week for part 2 of this interview that covers Abby, the youngest daughter, as she has just graduated from high school and has signed her national letter of intent to play softball at Missouri State University. Let's get into part 1 of a 2-part interview with Chris Ford. Well, Chris, I want to welcome you to the Athletic Scholarship Podcast, and I'm anxious to talk to you about your recruiting background as far as having 3 kids. So tell us a little bit about you and your family, Chris.
Well, my name's Chris Ford. I'm currently a school superintendent in Southwest Missouri. My wife, Katie, teaches band for the Ozarks school system, and I've got 3 kiddos. I have Zach, who is 23, who just graduated from College of the Ozarks down in Branson. I have Cara, who's 21, and she's a junior at College of the Ozarks. And then I have a recent high school graduate. Her name is Abby, and Abby will be attending Missouri State University in the fall.
I just saw her graduate with my son, so that was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
It was a good time, exciting time for them.
So you are working on being an empty nester, just like Lori and I.
There's a little bit of sadness, but I think there's a lot of joy at the same time. So
kind of like us, Zach and Parker played baseball together.
Yes.
And are just a year apart. So we got to meet each other on the baseball field.
Absolutely.
And you're kind of like us. You kind of got rid of one college athlete and then you're putting one back in.
Absolutely.
And then Cara, she decided to just do school instead of play sports, but she had some opportunity to play sports. So you guys are a sports and music family.
You know, it's really unique. My original teaching job was a band director, and my wife always thinks about how do 2 band directors make 3 athletes? So, you know, sometimes it's a running joke in our household. So,
well, in our household, the UPS guy was really smart and the FedEx guy was really fast. So that's how we did ours. Well, tell us a little bit. We're going to kind of go through Zach, Cara, and Abby's recruitment. But tell us a little bit about Zach. We'll start with him, where he went to college, his 4 years, and kind of how he got to College of the Ozarks.
You know, Zach was one of those kids when he was growing up. We really encouraged him to play athletics. And so we tried to get him involved in soccer, t-ball, basketball, and he would have nothing to do with any of those activities. Then all of a sudden, somewhere between his 4th and 5th grade year, he came to us and said, I think I would like to play baseball. Well, of course, being the good father I am, I started making phone calls. I called the Ozark Park system. They were completely full. I called Nixa, completely full. So then I made a couple of phone calls. I found one slot available for 10th inning kids, which was hosted by a local church in Springfield. And I said, save my spot. I'll come give you a check. So that's kind of where Zach started his baseball career. He was terrible. I mean, we were starting from the basics, how to throw a ball, how to bat. And he learned a lot that first year. And then we got into the Ozark Park Board system. His first coach was Jason Pace. Jason worked with him a lot. He got better. Tons of improvement. And he was just a learner, but we found out quickly that there were other opportunities for him. Ozark at the time had some junior high summer leagues, but those were auditioned only and had a tryout. Well, we didn't know about that. So he actually missed the tryout for the seventh grade Ozark baseball team and for the summer team. And so he played another year with Jason, but we moved to the Springfield League and had a little bit better competition. And then tried out again the next summer for the Ozark eighth grade summer team. He was the last kid who made it. And so from there, he would just worked his tail off. Zach kept improving, continued to work out in the summertime, started the weights program at Ozark, and then made the transition to JV, made the transition to varsity. Being parents who were not involved in collegiate athletics, we didn't quite know how recruiting went. His high school coach, Mike Essick, said, "Hey, I think Zach can play at the next level." And so we didn't really know where to start with recruiting and how this piece worked, because we went to some showcases during the summertime with the varsity summer team, but we didn't realize when we should have started, making coaching contacts. So between his junior and senior year, Zach had some Division III coaches reach out to him during the summertime and visit with him. And then he entered his fall season. He had made a decision that whether or not what he was going to do with baseball, he decided that he wanted to go to College of the Ozarks, so applied, got accepted actually as a student in the fall of his senior year, finished his high school baseball career, had a wonderful experience with the Ozark baseball program with Mike Essick. He decided to go ahead and play summer ball after he graduated with Ozark. At the time, he'd been taking some hitting lessons from Mark Stratton, and Mark was the former Glendale baseball coach and the former Drury baseball coach. Mark said, "Hey, I think you got some talent here." So Mark actually reached out to College of the Ozarks coach. They had an opportunity to come and look at Zach at a couple of games over the summertime. So they offered him a walk-on spot for the College of the Ozarks baseball team. And by the time we got through the summer, they had some, kids who were not returning. So Zach moved from walk-on to having a spot with the team. And then Zach was still a learner in baseball, still lots of growth. And by the time Zach ended his baseball career at College of the Ozarks, he'd already been an all-conference selection for College of the Ozarks. He was an academic All-American for College of the Ozarks. So Zach had a very successful baseball career at playing baseball at College of the Ozarks.
Well, and as you work through that, and my listeners have heard me talk about Ozark, and Ozark is a 6A school, which is now a 6A school, which is the biggest class in Missouri. So it's not easy to make a baseball team or any team at Ozark, and then C of O is a very high academic and high character place to go. So whether you're just going for school or to be a student athlete is a great accomplishment, and it's been fun to watch Zach over the last 4 years and see his hard work at C of O and see how their program has been successful over the last 4 or 5 years.
And there were a lot of kids during that time Zach was in the Ozark baseball program that they went on to play at the collegiate level. We had kids anywhere from the NAIA, JUCO, all the way up to Division I out of those kids he played with. So Zach was very fortunate to play with some excellent players in high school. And, one of the special things about College of the Ozarks, they are still required to work 15 hours a week as part of their work study program there at College of the Ozarks, along with being an athlete. And so there were some challenges, but Zach made the best of everything and just worked hard in the weight room once he got to college, honed those skills. Really, I think from the time he started in 5th grade, which a lot of people would consider late, he made a ton of progress all the way through.
And Zach is very much like my younger son, Sutton, where speed is his number one asset.
Absolutely.
And then his work ethic is very, very good. And you guys, and we've been able to capitalize on a specific skill that kind of played into being able to go on and play in a college sport. And you got to take advantage of those situations.
Zach, when he was in high school, his speed was definitely speed and defense highlighted what he did in high school. The big thing that he worked on at college was, again, the weight room, but his hitting, because that's always a growth process. But getting him to college, there was a definite specific, skill that the coaches looked at and caught their eye. And I agree with you. It was Zach's speed, and again, his work ethic.
What would you guys have done differently to get Zach recruited? If from what you know now to what you knew then?
I think starting early, my wife and I were music majors in college, and we got a performance scholarship to play in college band at Missouri State. And, we just tried out for the band director, and boy, he gave us a scholarship. Well, we just didn't know the process of what it took to get to be an athlete. So I think number one is reaching out to college coaches, because our thought was, oh, these college coaches are just going to show up to games, or they're going to show up to summer games, and they're just sitting there waiting for this, for these great athletes, and then they're going to contact them. Well, as we've learned over our three kids, you've got to reach out to those college coaches because they have to know who you are. So I think that's number one. I think number two, getting him into showcase camps. Zach did go to a College of the Ozarks showcase camp. So they saw Zach there and gave him some feedback. And at the time he went, again, he was still learning the game. If kids are looking at multiple schools, head out to those showcase camps so they can be seen. I think the last thing is you've got to market yourself. With our last kiddo, we actually joined a recruiting website where we could post videos. They could populate coaches' emails, and they could post videos of themselves and all their stats and all those pieces. And I know that really helped my last child in the recruiting race. So, but again, I think just getting started earlier, we just didn't know that piece.
Now, Zach he graduated high school in 2017, and then Cara, when did she graduate from Ozarks?
She graduated 2 years in 2019.
2019. So tell us a little bit about her high school, and then also what she decided to do for college.
So Cara played for the Ozark Lady Tigers softball team. She was one of those kids that worked really hard, worked hard in the weight room, worked hard in the off season, played travel ball. Again, she was looking to play past high school. She went to more showcase camps. One of those showcase camps she went to happened to be Drury University. They'd had a new coach had just arrived. Coach Bro had just returned to Springfield, taking over a program that had not seen success in the last few years. So he was looking, just for athletes. After going to his camp, Coach Bro came to a couple of games at Ozark and looked at her, and then offered her a spot for her freshman year at Drury. One of the things, Coach Bro was very upfront with us about the program. He wanted Cara, but he said, hey, we're just taking over this program, and we are bringing in some transfers and some JUCO kids. Right now, we don't have any scholarship money for Cara. I have a spot for her, but just no money. She took 2-3 weeks to kind of work through what does she want to do. At the same time, she had applied for College of the Ozarks for admission. And it just kind of happened that she was accepted to College of the Ozarks. She decided that, it was very expensive to go to Drury, $35,000 plus a year. She was just concerned about student debt, not having any scholarships. So she made the tough choice that I don't know what I would have done in high school, but she made the tough choice to tell him that, hey, I appreciate the offer, but I'm not going to play college softball. That was a very grown-up decision for her, and it was tough. But now that she looks back at it, she still thinks she made the right decision by not going to Drury to build all that student debt, but still desperately misses the game of softball.
You get to that decision point. A lot of people that I talk to in the recruiting think that if they're going to go on and play college, they're going to get a full ride scholarship. And that's not the way it goes. And that's kind of a hard pill to swallow. And it does go to show that you guys being able to sit down with Cara and her making a decision was very important. And sports are important, but also looking out for your future endeavors and not having a lot of debt coming out, and taking your 4 years of college to set you up for the next 40 years is very important, whether you play a sport or don't play a sport.
And Brent, I appreciated the Coach Burrow, when he brought us in, showed us facility, gave us a tour and sat down. And I appreciate his honesty, because, a lot of coaches will promise, hey, we'll try to get you money. But he was upfront. As a parent, I appreciated that, just, because he knew that Drew's an expensive university. It's a quality education, but it costs a lot of money. And so I appreciated that from him. Again, tough situation. I was proud of my daughter. We made her communicate with him. She called him. She just didn't email him, and explained her reasoning. Did a great job.
Thank you for the great information from Chris about both Zach and Cara and their recruiting experiences. If you remember, I asked Chris to give some advice to high school student athletes and their families. He said to start early and learn the process, and reach out to college coaches and show interest in them. And don't just wait for coaches to contact or see you. Also, go to showcase camps at schools that you want to go to. Go to recruit-me.com and check out the free recruiting power pack. And you can go to another level with the Recruit Me 3.0 step-by-step recruiting system for only $127. Plus, right now you get a QR Recruiter draft tag at no charge. Go to qrrecruiter.com for more information on the draft tag. Join me next Tuesday for episode 306, which is part 2 of this interview with Chris Ford. Thank you for listening.